So hello friends, welcome to the second part of the SQL portfolio project onto the Indian census data. So into the previous video, we have seen some of the simple SQL queries. We have done some kind of data analysis task. Into this particular video, I'll be moving forward into much more complex or advanced SQL functions. So we'll be using the rank functions, window functions, and the joins which are present in SQL. And also we'll be looking into some of the complex statistical tasks. So how do we use statistics during the data analysis task? We would be seeing that particular thing also. Friends, without wasting much time, let's move directly to my screen and let's continue with the part 2 of this data analysis task. Let us move to some more new problems. So what if I want to calculate the number of males and the number of females? So you can see in one of our table we have the sex ratio. So I would just print out the output for one of the table, and you can see I've got the output. So into the one of the columns I have the gender ratio present. Let me also get the output for the second table, and from here we'll like to see how should we go on calculating the number of males and the number of females which are present in a state. You can see in the output we have got both the tables here, both the output. So this is for the table 1, this is for the table 2. In one of the tables we have the gender ratio present, into the other table we have the total population. So by now you must have understood the thing which we'll be using here. So we'll be joining both the tables to get the output, that is total number of males to total number of females. So let us see. So first of all we'll be joining both the tables. So either you can use inner join or you can use the left join thing, and you will be joining. So you can see both of these tables which is present here, we have two of the columns which are common in both the tables. So that is the district and the state, but the column on which will be joining both the tables will be the district column, not the state column. Because if we join on the basis of the state column, each of the state entry will be joining on the other state entry. Let us apply the inner join function to join both the tables. So we'll just write the code here. So I would just write select district comma state comma we want the gender ratio. So I would just write this, and from the other table I want the population, and from project data 1 inner join project data 2 on, and what is the common column on which we'll be joining? So that is the district column. So that's it. But here is the catch. So we can also provide the alias for each of the table name which we have mentioned here. So I'll be just providing a variable name or alias name to both of these tables. And here also we need to give from which table do we want to get this column. So wherever you will be providing the alias name and will be providing the dot and the column name. So we are telling the code that to get this particular column from this particular table. So district will be coming from table A. Similarly, I'll just do same for the other as well, but the population will be coming from table B. So I'll just run this code and let's see what is the output which we are getting. Okay, we need to provide two dots here. Run the code again and let's see what is the output. Okay, great. We have joined both of these tables. However, you can see the output which we have got. So into one of the columns I have this sex ratio, and into the other column I have the total population. So that's great. So how do we go about calculating the number of males and the number of females? So we'll be using some mathematics here. So what is the sex ratio? So the gender ratio is the total number of females divided by total number of males which are present in that state. So let us do some calculations here. So I would just open my notepad and I would try to demonstrate here the formula. So total number of males to total number of females is equal to the I would just say this as the I will just write the column name here. Know that the total of number of population will be constituted by the males and the females if we are disregarding the other genders as well. So this is the total population here which we are mentioning. So you can see from we have two equations and we have two variables, so we can get both of these variables if we just, so what will be total number of females from the formula from the equation 2. So this is the equation 1 which we have, and this is the equation 2 which we have. So using both of these equations we'll be calculating the number of males and the number of females, the formula through which we'll be getting the total number of males and total number of females. So the females would be population minus males, and I'll be substituting this into the equation 1. So let us see what do we get here. So females would be population minus males and is equal to sex ratio into males. So I am getting this from the equation 1. So you can see I would just multiply males and I'll bring to this side, so I'll be multiplying. So why I'm doing all this is because we have two columns only, the sex ratio and the population, and using both of these columns we need to get the total number of males and the total number of females. So I'm trying to derive a formula here, so that is how I'm doing. So the population is equal to, I would bring this male thing which is present on the left side into the right side of the equation. So let us see. So male, so what does the final equation become? So the final equation becomes something like this, and then we have got our final equation here. So population would be, so the total number of males would be sex ratio plus 1 okay, so this will be population divided by sex ratio. So this is the final formula which we are getting. We'll be inserting this into our equation, and similarly if we do this for the number of females, so let us calculate also what is the total number of females. So this is for the males. Similarly we'll be deriving a equation for the total number of females. So from the equation 3 we'll be doing something. So the equation 3 tells population minus total number of males. So this is population divided by sex ratio plus 1. So that's it. And then using these two different equations we'll be getting the total number of males and the total number of females. So let us use both of these equations into our formula here. So the logic which I want to get here is how we are using mathematics also to solve these kind of formulas, these kind of data analysis tasks. So we are using statistics, basic statistics functions and fundas here. So you can see these are simple level problems, but we are using some kind of mathematics here also. So let us get from this table. So I would be using this as a subquery here now, and from here I'll be getting, so I'll be getting the, let's say I'll get the district from here, and then similarly I would like to get the state, and now I want to calculate the males, the total number of males which are present. So we have my formula here. So to calculate the total number of males, I would divide the population column by the gender ratio column, and I would be adding 1 to this gender ratio thing. So, and also you can see gender ratio is an integer value. We need to convert this into a decimal value. So first of all I would do this here only. So I would divide this with 1000, and let us run the query to see what is the output we are getting and if the number has been converted to a decimal number. So that's it. Yeah, we got the output here. So now everything is okay, so we'll be just be applying this particular formula here, or else we can do one more thing. Okay, no need to do so. We'll just be applying, so I'll just be dividing population by, and inside this I would be writing sex ratio plus 1. So this is the males, and similarly what is the total number of females formula. So if we simplify the formula more, so let us see what we are getting here. So if I would just simplify this formula, so population, and inside this, so population is column in both of this, so I'm getting 1 minus 1 divided by say ratio is 1, and let us do some more calculations here. So this would come out to be ratio, so 1 would be cancelled out, subtracted out, and we would just be left out with the sex ratio thing, and this would be into multiplication, and we'll be dividing the entire thing with the denominator. So the denominator would be ratio plus 1. That's it. That's all is required now. So great, let us apply this formula here and to calculate the total number of females. So I would do here, so I would multiply population into the sex ratio, and let us see the formula, and I would be dividing this. Let us cross verify the formula also here if everything is fine. Okay, I think everything is fine here now. Let us rename, I'll just rename this as the females, and we'll be providing a from, and then I would just add a variable here. I would run the code. Let us see if we are getting our output or not. Okay, there's some error, so I would just provide the alias name there, and you can see I've got the output here. And obviously the number of males and the number of females would not be in decimal numbers, so we need to convert this into integer values, somewhat integer values. So I would convert all this to 0 decimal places, similarly to this one also as well. Let us run the query again. Let us see what is the output which we are getting. So you can see we have got the correct output here. So this is how we will be calculating the total number of males and the total number of females. So what if so this is a district level kind of data which we have got. What if I want to get the state level data? So let us use the group by functions which we have been using into the previous questions also to solve this. So I would do a simple select, and then I would be providing the name as D here, and then I would be giving so D dot state, okay, comma dot males, comma D dot females from, and then we'll be grouping by the state. So we need to provide the sum here because we need to get the total number of females, so we need to provide an aggregate function, and we would just rename this column as total males and this column as total females. and you can see we have got the answer here as well. So we have used all these different kind of functions. So you have seen that we are joining both the tables, then we are using the some mathematical formulas, some statistical formulas here, and then from there we are deriving the output which we are needing. So you can see, looking at the table, first of all we'll not be able to see like whether we can calculate this thing or not, but do some statistical analysis, you would definitely feel like okay, we can calculate these kind of things from the data set which we have currently. Similarly, we can calculate the total literacy rate into each of the states. So let us see which state is the highest into the literacy rate. So whatever we have done here, we'll just do some minute changes here. So this is the total literacy rate which we are calculating here. Here we calculated the total males and females in the populations. So to calculate the total literacy rate, first of all we'll be joining both the tables. So I would just copy this query from here and I would just paste it below, and okay, first of all we'll see where in which table is the literacy rate present. So it is present into the table, okay, that's okay. So this is present into the table A itself. So I would just get this from here. So you can see what is the literacy rate. So the literacy rate would be defined something as percentage of the population which can either read or write. So let's say if the population is 100 for, I would just pick up one of the districts. So let's say the Thane district population was 100, so 84.53% literacy is there into the state. So literacy can be defined something like using the mathematical function. So we can use this function here as well. So here it would come as the total population of the state, and this would be total number of literate person. So total literate people, and this is the literacy ratio if we define this into statistical terms. And from this equation we'll be deriving what is the total number of literacy population and what is the total number of illiteracy people which are residing in that particular state or district. So let us run the query and let's see what is the output of this particular query. So okay, but this was the literacy ratio, so I would just rename this. I would again run the query. I would select this and I would click execute. So you can see I've got the population, I've got the literacy ratio, and using the same kind of thing which we have done into our previous problem for calculating the total number of males and females. So they'll be using the same thing to calculate the total literacy ratio which is present into the states. So in this case we have our main formula here. So let us see what all we have. So we have our literacy ratio, we have our population. So using this we can get the total literate people. So this is kind of a simple equation. So from here only we can get like total literate person people are is equal to, this is very much simple. So the literacy ratio into the total population of the state. When if you go to the Indian census data, so they will be defining the literacy ratio as the same. So the total literate people will be this, and what if I want to calculate the total number of illiterate people? So it would be 1 minus literacy ratio. So that is how we'll be go on to calculate the total number of illiterate people, and we'll be multiplying the same thing with the total number of population here. Here also we would need to divide our literacy ratio by 100 because we are defining in terms of 100 here. Earlier we were defining in terms of 1000 according to the formula of Indian census. So you can see we have got our equation here. So let us use as the subquery whatever we have done into our previous problem, and we'll be doing the same thing. So I would do select district comma state comma literacy ratio into population. So this is the total number of illiterate people, and similarly 1 minus literacy ratio and I would multiply this with the total number of population, and this is the total number of illiterate people, and we'll be getting this from this table. I would just do give alias here and do the similar thing. I would be providing the alias name in ahead of all the column names, and we'll be running this code after doing all these changes. I hope I'm writing the correct formula. Let me just cross verify. So total number of literate people is the literacy ratio into the population. Literacy ratio into population, and illiterate people is 1 minus literacy ratio into population, and that is absolutely correct. I hope the equation is correct. I'll just run the query from here. I'll just select and execute this. So okay, we have got our literate people and the total number of illiterate people which are residing in the district. So what we can do, so you can see we'll be converting this into integer value. So I'll just do a simple round here and I'll convert this to 0 decimal places. You can use multiple methods to do this as well, converting a decimal number to integer kind of value. So there are multiple methods, but just for this purpose I'm showing you guys using the round function. So you can see we have got in 2 decimal numbers as well. So you can see we have got our answer. So let us do a simple group by function to do on a state level basis as well. So I would use the group by function. So I would need, okay, so I would need the state, and then I would give the sum over the total literate people. Similarly, I would sum over the total number of illiterate people from, and I'll provide an alias here, and I'll be using the group by function to group this on c.state. Just run the query now, execute the query. Column name literate. These are some of the small mistakes which you will be getting every now and then. So the total literate population, and this is the total literate population. That's it, and we'll run the query again. You can see we have got the answer, and you can see we have got into the first column the total number of literate people and the total number of illiterate people into the second column. This is how we'll be using all the different functions which are available in SQL. So you can see we are solving the same problem, like the same kind of problem, but the problem sense is different. Like earlier we'll be calculating the total number of males and females. Here we are calculating the total number of literate people and illiterate people, but our kind of structure is same. We are using the statistical analysis also, we are doing some mathematics here also, we are using some SQL functions here, and with the help of all these kind of techniques we are able to solve our question. So we have given the total number of population which is present right now, and you can see we have given the growth rate also of that particular district, by which growth rate is the population of that state has been growing. So what if I want to get the population, what was the population in the previous census? Can we get that? So let us see how to get this. So I'll be doing, so we want to get the population in previous census. Okay, so we'll be using, so we'll be joining both the tables definitely, because in one of the table we have the population and in another table we have the growth rate data. So we'll need to join both the tables to get both the columns. So instead ratio, I would be providing the growth rate thing here. So I would be writing growth, I would execute this function. I would remove this 1000 value from here. So you can see the number which is present into the growth column. So it tells like by what percentage is my population has grown. So let's say if the growth percentage was 10% and my previous population was 100, so my new population would be something like 100 plus 10% of 100, and that data is given here. So into our the very last column we have the very for fresh data or this data for this census. What if I want to get the data for previous census? So how do we go about that? So let us look, we'll do some statistical analysis here also. So how do we define? So we have the population for this census. So let us say I would define the population for the previous census with this variable. So I'll be using previous census here. So what would be the population for this census? So according to the formula which I have given here, so that is previous census plus growth and this would be into terms of percentage. So growth into previous census is equal to the population which we are having here. Now what if I want to get the previous census population? So the formula looks something like population divided by 1 plus growth, and here the growth will be dividing this by 100 because it is in terms of percentage. So that is why we need to divide this by 100 as well. So let us run the query and let's see what we are getting here. So you can see we are getting, so our growth is in terms of decimal numbers, and that is quite okay. So to get the previous census data, we'll be using this formula here. So we'll be dividing population divided by 1 plus growth. Just use this as the subquery and we'll be dividing. So I will do a select a d dot district d dot state and d to get the previous census population. We'll need to divide population and we'll divide this by 1 plus growth, and this is the previous census population. Obviously for most of the states the previous census population would be quite less, because you can see most of the growth percentage are in positive terms. So for some of the states the growth percentage would be in negative terms as well. So we'll see that also. And into the next column, let us also get the population, and this would be the current census population. So I'm just writing these all column names just to show you guys all the good practices which we must follow while writing these codes here. And I would be providing the alias name for each of the columns from which we are getting the data. And I think that's it is required. I would run the query now. I would execute the query. So you can see we have got our data. I would round this number as well to 0 decimal places, and that's it. We'll execute the query once again. So you can see into the very first column I have got the previous census data, into the current column I have got the current census data. Let us do and group this by onto the states. Let us see what was the average growth or the total growth of the state as well. So we'll need to get the state value here, e dot previous census population, similarly e dot population from, we'll be giving this as e. Will run the query. Okay, we need to group by also, so we'll be using the group by function. So grouping this by on the state, let us run this query. Let us see what is the result which we are getting. If so, we need to do the sum, we need to provide the aggregate function, otherwise it would throw this error which we are getting right now. And you can see we have got the answer here. So into the very first column we have the previous census population of the state, and into the next column we have this census population of the state, that is the current census population. So what if I want to get the total population of India into the previous census and the current population of India into this census? So let us see how to do that. We need to execute this query. So what was the total population of India into the previous census and what is the total population of India into this census? So we'll just need to do a simple sum over, so you can give the alias name whatever I'm giving here, M, D, E, whatever, it is up to you. Like, it is totally up to you. You can give whatever you want. Even you can follow a certain procedure, A, B, C, D, into a certain pattern, or else you can give any random variable as well. It is totally up to you. I'm just, for this purpose, I'm just giving some random variable names, whatever I'm getting into my mind currently. So I would just do a simple sum thing here, and that's it, I guess. I'll do a from, I would give this into a subquery, give the alias name as M. So you can see I've got the total population of India which is present into the previous census. So into the very first column I have the previous census population, I would give the column name here, and into the second column I have the current census population. So, and we have derived this using both the tables, using some statistical formulas. We have derived this using simple formulas as well. If you'll show these kind of analysis into your project, you will definitely get an edge, and your recruiter might get impressed for the kind of formula which you have used, for the kind of task, for the kind of insights which you have derived from this limited amount of data. So you could have seen, like, we just had 3 columns and 2 columns in both of the tables, but we are deriving so much kind of different kind of analysis from just our limited set of data. Might help you to get you an internship as well as a job role, full-time job role, if you're looking for a transition. One of the table I have the total area which is present, so I would just run the code and to show you guys. So you can see in this, you can see the areas in square kilometers which is mentioned. So definitely if the population is increasing, the area square kilometers is just limited, but the population is increasing every year. So what if I want to get this number also? So I want to get how much my area per population has been reduced from the current census as compared to the last census which was there. So we would need the area thing and the population from both the previous census and this census. So into our current query we have derived this particular thing here. So we have our population for this particular census and the population for the other census, but our area is limited. So let us here only we'll just make some changes. So what we are doing is, so population per area, population versus area. So this is what we need to do. So either you can put the area into the numerator, or you can put the area into the denominator as well to derive a meaning from the equation which you are getting. So I would be keeping the area into the numerator. I want to keep that as the constant. So as the population is increasing, the numerator thing is remaining constant, the denominator is becoming bigger, so definitely the fraction value would be getting reduced. So that means that our area is getting reduced. So let us see how to do this. Just copy this query which we have written here, and I'll be using this query itself. I would like to see what is present into both of my tables. So you can see we have the area in square kilometers as one of the thing here, and see we have the query here. So into one of the columns we are getting the population, the current census population, and the population from the previous census as well. And here in this column I have the total area square kilometer. Let us do one thing. So we would get the sum of the area square kilometers from here just to get the total area of India. So I would just do a simple sum over area kilometer square, and I would get this from project. I would mention the table name. Let us run the query. What does this gives as output? So okay, so great. So you can see we have two different queries. In one of the query which we are getting the previous census population, the population data, the current census population. Into the other query which we are getting the total area in square kilometers. Now you would have realized that what if we join both the tables so that we can divide both the numbers. Run the query here also, and let us see. So this is the total area thing, and we would need to divide the total area by the current population and the previous population. So let us join both the tables. So we would need to add a common key here into both the tables so that we can join both the tables and divide the numbers. So let us see how to do that. So I would just do a simple, I would write this into a subquery and do a select. So I would provide here as 1 as key. So 1 would act as a key, and I would do a simple, let's say n dot star, and the entire subquery here I would rename this as n. So let us run the query and let's see what is the output which we are getting. Key might be a defined character value. So you can see we have added a column here, that is the key column, the previous census column and the current census column. Let us do the same thing here. So I would do a simple select. Okay, I would just name this add. Okay, I would first add the key value here, and then I would z dot star. I would name the subquery as z here, and let us run the thing and let us see what is the output which we are getting. So you can see both the outputs. Now if I run both the outputs simultaneously, you can see both the outputs. So one is the common key which is present here, and we'll be joining both these outputs on the common key here. So let us join this. So I would just do a select name as q. So q dot star comma r dot stars, the second from inner join. I would join this query here on q dot key is equal to r dot key. That way we need to provide the table name as well. So it would be q and this would be r. So let us run the code once again. Divide the total area by the previous census population and the total area by the current census population to get the kind of distinguish between what is how much our area has been decreased from the previous population. So let us do that. So I would again put this into a subquery here, and I would provide the name of this subquery as G. So what I would do, so I would do a simple select G dot total area divided by G dot previous census population. Similarly, I would just copy this, and this is current census population. And from this query I would just do this. I would run the query here. Need to do some minute changes for the error which we are getting. You can see I've got this error, and this is because there is a common column between both these tables, and the both of these column names, they are exactly the same. So we did a small error. So instead of r dot total area, so I've just changed this here. So it was earlier, before it was r dot star. So we need to mention here r dot total area, because both the columns cannot have the same name. Likewise, we need to distinguish between the common columns. We can't use this. So I would just run this code again to get our output, and you can see we have got our output. So this, the very first is for the previous census population. So I would just write this to distinguish this, and the very second is for the current census population. I would just write the column names, and I would run the query again. So you can see in the very first column I have the previous census population, and into the second column I have the current census population versus area. So we need to change the column name again to make it more accurate, and so that you don't get confused. So I've tried to demonstrate each and every small things, the real things which we encounter in SQL every now and then. So that was the main thing which I wanted to distinguish, plus some using some simple methods how we can solve some these complex level problems with the limited data sets. That I wanted to demonstrate slowly and slowly. You must have seen how we are gradually we have moved into this video from small level concepts to such joins and such kind of multiple advanced level concepts as well. Moving forward, and this will be the very last question, and I'll be showing you guys how we can use the window functions which is present in SQL. So these are some of the advanced window functions. So you can use these window functions to solve some cases. So let us move forward and see some window functions here. So here I'll be using the rank function. So you can see into the very first data set here, you can see this. Let us take literacy ratio as our case for now. I want to get the top 3 districts from each state which has the highest literacy rate. So I hope you have got the question. So the question says that give me the output of the top 3 districts from each state which has the highest literacy ratio. So let us solve this problem using the window function. So I would write this problem here also. Output top 3 districts. So it would be top 3 districts from each state with highest literacy rate. So I'll be solving this using the window function. So let's see how to do this. So select district comma state comma literacy. Okay, and then we'll be using the rank function. So I've explained this into my SQL video also, so 0 to 1 advanced SQL video also, or else you can learn from different websites also. So the rank function, so rank over. So on what basis do we need to segregate our data so that we will be calculating the rank? So we need to calculate the rank basis onto the state level. So we'll be using the partition by function here to segregate the data and rank them. So we'll be segregating the data using the state column, and how will be ranking that the column. So we'll be ranking that using the literacy rate, and this should be into the descending order so that the highest literacy rate state gets the highest rank. And from where we need this data? So we need this data from data 1, and that's it. Let's run the query and let's see what is the result which we are getting. So you can see the ranks has been provided, but we are only concerned with the top 3 states. So we would again write this into the subquery here, and so we'll do a select a dot star from here, and I would name this subquery as, so we'll be using the where function because we are only concerned with the rank 1, 2 and 3. So I've mentioned this into the bracket here. So I would run the query and you will see only 1, 2, 3 rank states we are getting here, and we'll be ordering this by, let's say, state, so that our output looks more good, more neat and clean. And you can see we have got all the output here. So all the states which are having the top 3 districts with the highest literacy rate, we are getting this data. Now and if I was a data analyst, I was working for the government, I would use this data and I would get the bottom 3 states with the lowest literacy ratio, and I would implement some features, some kind of program, so that I would would help them to increase the literacy rate of these districts. So I would get a high level data like, okay, these 3 districts are the lowest literacy rate ratio. So friends, my whole intention of doing this portfolio project was to give clarity to you guys onto how we solve these kinds of problem, the real kind of problem, real data set problems using SQL, and how we use technology to solve these kind of complex tasks. So you can see with the limited data set which we had, I did a lot of many kind of analysis. So this was a very long video, but you can add this project, so you can add each and every line of this project into your resume as well and demonstrate your SQL skills to. Hope this project helps you to get an opportunity and you break through or you transition into your role of which you want. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like this video because I've taken a lot of research and hard work to prepare this project for you all guys. So, and also if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'll be bringing more such portfolio projects for you guys so that you can add that into your resume as well, so that you can get an opportunity. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do consider subscribing it. Meet you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.